Greetings, Patrick here, and a long time for Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. I've been taking this month off and doing some other things, but I didn't forget you guys. And we're here to talk about the movie you guys voted on for, and then we'll put up a some fresh movies up. So today I decided that I put this up. And I'm glad I did, and I'm really happy that you guys actually voted for this one too, because I hadn't seen it for a little bit, and boy, when I did, I was just like, man, these guys got it going on, because they picked a hell of a movie. And the movie we'll be talking about today is from 1998, and it is The Negotiator, with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey and an all-star cast. Wow. I saw this at the theater when it came out, and I remember how pumped I was when I watched it. It was a really exciting movie. Like I said, it came out in 1998. It was directed by F. Gary Gray, written by James DeMonaco and Kevin Fox. And, real quick, the synopsis is, Samuel L. Jackson plays a negotiator named Danny Roman, and, he negotiates hostage situations, and he's quite good at it, really good at it. And he's able to crack several, he's able to grab people and save them many, many times. He has one peculiar habit when they finally do break through and they get the bad guy. And he has a weird habit of putting the weapon on the suspect. He's already busted. I mean, he's on the ground. It's more likely, but he puts the gun toward them. And, of course, this is unnerving both to the crook and to his fellow co-workers who are sitting there watching like, okay, Danny, we got him. I mean, but he holds the gun on him for just a little bit longer than he should. Well, it's just a quirk. So, anyway, because he's an excellent negotiator. So he and his partner, Nate, a well-oiled team. They go out there to celebrate, at the cop bar, but Nate wants to talk to Danny, and he says that he has stumbled across something, some embezzlement, some fraud, up to $1 million, and he's got it from his contact, his informant, that this is going on, and and the fact of the matter is that the suspects are cops that work with Danny and Nate, but he doesn't know quite who's behind it. He just knows that they're in on it. They're now just going to find out who it is and how much do they know. Well, being so late where it's at, they decide that they'll talk about it the next day. So that night, Danny goes over to meet Nate again, and they talk about it. And so Nate says, okay, we'll start putting this thing together, and he leaves, and his buddy's in the car, and he thinks that Danny has come by. First, I think he thought Danny would come by, but then he rolls down the window, and the way he reacts, he knows the person who's there. Well, the person who's there kills him, shoots him in the head. It's interesting that Nate's partner is played by Paul Guilfoyle, who I talked about in CSI, the episode we covered in Retro Jam. So that's who played Danny's partner. Even though he had lines in the movie, he wasn't credited in the movie, which was a little strange. So now Danny, Danny comes back and he sees that his partner's dead. And very, very conveniently, bam, the cops show up too. Hey, what's going on? You killed the cop. We found the gun. So they put the frame on Danny, and Danny knows that he didn't do it, but he knows enough about what's going on to become a threat. So they decide to frame him for the murder of his partner, and it looks good. They have guns, and they have a lot of circumstantial evidence there, and it's enough to get Danny, like I said, arrested, and though he bonds out, he's they ask for his gun and his badge, and cops are seeing him now, as a pariah, and he knows he didn't do this. And when he's trying to explain the situation, like what Danny has said and how he has said it, no one's really quite listening to it. So Danny is pushed against the wall, and the only thing he has left is he needs to find out who knows what. So he becomes a hostage taker. He goes up to the commanding officer of internal affairs, and he takes him and a couple of civilians and the IAD, whose name is Niebaum, takes Niebaum and a secretary hostage, and he says he wants to negotiate, and they have a sort of like a trainee that knows Danny, and Danny knows him, but he's just absolutely zero match for Danny. Danny just he sort of breaks him, though they don't really go into it a lot. But at the end of the movie, you can see that this guy is not going to be a negotiator in any shape, way, or form. He is just broken. But that's at the end of the movie. But Danny's smarter than that. He knows he's not going to be able to negotiate with the rookie. So he calls for a guy named Chris Sabian. He's a lieutenant in a different division. He's not one of their guys. He's from outside their division, but that's who he requests for by name. And Chris Sabian is played by Kevin Spacey. Man, this is the kind of movie that you watch and just get reminded just how fucking good of an actor Kevin Spacey really is. Man, Kevin Spacey's all right with me. He got, he's an excellent actor. If you like Seven, you like K-Pax, you like American Beauty, I mean, on and on. The guy has put together a great body of work. And what's really cool about this is that you finally get to see two titans go nose to nose. I love movies like this a lot. When you get two stars like Samuel Jackson and Kevin Spacey in the same room, far too many times in movies, including movies like this, they're in the movie, but they never get hardly any scenes together. It just drives me crazy when you get that kind of talent. You don't put them together. But they did in The Negotiator. Gary Gray put them in together, and there's several really strong scenes. Danny and Chris going back and forth, and they give as good as they take. Anyway, and what's really cool too, and I got to mention this too, is that one of the hostage is a petty crook who knows he does a little bit of computer crimes, is played by none other than Paul Giamatti, another terrific actor. So you got in the same room, got J.T. Walsh, excellent character actor. He passed away shortly after this movie came out. You have Kevin Spacey. You have Samuel L. Jackson. And it's just this cast is absolutely nuts. So anyway, Chris Sabian comes and he's going to negotiate. He's going to try to negotiate with Danny. By this time, David Morris, who has the SWAT team, he orders a breach, and it fails miserably. Not only does it fail miserably, but when the commander tells them to hit the SWAT guys to take a shot, the SWAT guys cannot, because they can't fire on Danny. They know that there's got to be more to what's being said here, and so they basically tell the commander that, hey, there's no shot here. I can't take the shot. I guess. So they get relieved. And the new SWAT team comes in. They have no, they're still in Danny's division, but now they're told to go ahead and breach. And two of them get captured. Danny captures two of them. He does, and he basically puts tape on their mouth, and he handcuffs them, and they're caught. But while they're dragging their feet about the negotiations, he takes one of them, takes them in the other room. Pistol whips him, and then it looks like he kills him. Absolutely kills him. He points the gun, and you're like, damn, okay. Well, your mind logically sitting there going like, oh, he didn't just do that, but you see him and you saw, you didn't see his gun like, point at the guy's head and then point, move to the right or to the left. No, he looked like he squared him up right there and squeezed the trigger. And it's nerve-wracking to see it because you really like, and then, we find out that later on that, Danny being a good guy, he wouldn't do that, but the cop on the floor, he's going to have a headache and most likely some, hearing issues for the next couple of days. So he didn't get off, he got off sort of painfully, if you ask me. So now the chess match really begins earnest. Danny's trying to tell Chris what's going on, thanks to Paul Giamatti's and Niebaum's secretary, who also believes in what Danny. They come to his aid. They go ahead and tell him that Niebaum has files in his computer, and and Maggie, his secretary, tells Danny the combination, the password. And Paul Giamatti's character, who is also sort of like like I said, he's sort of like a computer hacker at the time, Rudy. He helps him get into the files and see what's really in there. And so soon enough, we start seeing that Niebaum himself really is, dirty. And Nate wants to know who's his informant, who is Nate's informant. And then Danny finds out that Nate himself was the informant, but he was informing the wrong man because Niebaum was in on it. And Niebaum, most likely or not, ordered his death. So a second breach happens, and this time 4 cops who want Niebaum dead. They want Danny and Niebaum dead. They don't want Niebaum to talk, and they don't want Danny to dig. So they breached. They attempt to breach, and Danny shoots back. He doesn't shoot to kill. He's not shooting. He's not trying to hurt anybody. He's just trying to let them know, like, hey, back out. But they in turn they do kill Niebaum. They kill him. And Chris is really upset, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Listen, look at." Danny says, "Look at how he was shot. He was executed, and he was." So Chris is starting to wake up now to what's going on, but by that time he's relieved from scene commander, and Beck takes over, and Beck's sort of a hothead, played by David Morris, another excellent actor. Like I said, this cast is. Holy crow! So he takes over the scene, and or the FBI attempts to, but then Beck does when they go outside. He says, "Well, now it's back to us, not you." So they do one last massive breach. I mean, they throw in like 40 guys into the mix, and Chris and Danny are able to use the confusion to sneak out of there and head to Niebaum's house because Niebaum has backup there, all his backup files. Well, the cops find out, the corrupt cops find out about it. So they dash over to Niebaum's house too, and they, to pin down Chris and Danny. And so they know that they're outgunned, and so Chris, he plays a wild card, and he tells him he and Danny have been talking about cowboy movies. And so Chris brings up cowboy movies again, and I don't think Danny quite got the gist of it right until it happened. But Chris, also shows his colors, and he shoots Danny, and he gets the files, and he walks over to the corrupt the Frost, Commander Frost. He's the bad guy. And he goes over there, and he says, "I want to be in on the action. You got to negotiate with me, so I want 35%." So he's negotiating in the house, and so it looks, Frost puts a bullet inside Niebaum's computer. Like that doesn't stop a computer from being resurrected. And then lo and behold, he goes outside. And what they've done was they took the radio and they had pressed it, they clicked it. So all the cops that had been arriving all this time, they heard what was going on. They heard Frost confess to what he had done. And then he says, well, you know better. You killed a cop. And he says, no, not really. He had just wounded him. It was a play off of Shane. They were arguing if did Shane die at the end, or was he just badly wounded? So that's what he did. They reenacted. It's like, is Danny dead or not? So Danny's not, and he gets up and he comes out, and Frost decides to take the easy way out, but Beck says, nope, not so fast. And he puts one on his shoulder and says, no, you're not getting away. And Beck obviously belatedly sees that, a lot of men, they're seeing that Danny was right all along. And, now they're feeling like horses' asses because they're so determined to kill him. To save those hostages. See, they weren't listening to what Danny was saying. They didn't give him any, before the hostage situation, they weren't listening to him at all. So Frost does try to take his life, but Beck shoots him in the shoulder, and then Danny comes up there. Once again, he grabs Frost's gun and he points it at Frost. He points. It's an unnerving thing to see, because it's like he's busted. It's like. But it's just this way of saying, I got you. I outwitted you. But of course, every cop sitting there watching him, they're watching him like he's not going to kill him, is he? But it's just a quirk that Danny Roman has. So of course, the rest of the movie basically just wraps up all the storylines. Danny gets transported to the hospital with his wife. Chris is getting congratulations. They caught all the bad guys, and Nate's death is avenged. All right, fantastic movie. Totally dig this movie. It's set all at night too. Man, I would have been a bitch to film. Pretty much the whole movie at night. It was shot in Chicago, and features Chicago Police Department. And the cast, like I said before, the cast is absolutely stellar. Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, Ron Rifkin, another great character actor. David Morris, John Spencer, R.I.P. He starred in The West Wing for many, many years, and L.A. Law. He's also in here as Chief Al Travis. The late J.T. Walsh, gone too soon. He was a great actor, but you knew that he was always going to be a bad guy because his eyes were just mean and menacing. Every movie he was in, you just knew when you saw J.T. Walsh come in, something bad was going to happen. Sibahan, I know it's an Irish name, Fallon Hogan played Maggie, and she was really cool. I really liked her character a lot. Paul Giamatti, one of his early roles, I believe, played Rudy. Michael Cudlitz, who many of you guys know from The Walking Dead and ER. And Nestor Serrano was in there. He's always plays a really good bad guy. Dean Norris, who played Hank Schrader on Breaking Bad, and he also played a Nazi sympathizer in Remember with Christopher Plummer. Excellent role for him. Very, very. He was really creepy in that movie. Dean Norris he's a hell of an actor too. Let's see, and that's basically all the people that I know from there. But it was a great cast, well directed. The movie was made, and this is really something too. The movie is actually made for $44 million, which is actually sort of cheap when you consider all the heavyweights that are in it. I mean, that's just, that could be a payroll for some movies. The movie itself made close to $90 million and became a staple on cable. Man, this movie popped up everywhere. I also see it a lot of times still out in the wild. I see this still out in the wild. I got my copy for $0.25 at the library, and it's a snapper case. So this is one of the first. This is one of the first ones issued. So the special features are pretty lean. I think we got, yes, they got a few stories from the real negotiators. They got previews. Let's see, behind the scenes documentary. Not too bad. I mean, for the time period, not too bad. And only enhances the movie a little bit more. All right, well, that's it for this review. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with another fresh foursome of films. Well, one will be a returning champ or a returning movie, and then I'll have three more new ones coming out. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you like this, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of The Negotiator. And, yeah, hit the like button and share us out. Thanks so much.